and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast, episode 530. I'm your host, Adam Cook, and I'm joined this week by and every week, the one and only Chris Hyde. How are you, Chris?
Hello. I'm all right, mate. Not bad.
Glad to hear
excited, actually. I'm excited about today's games. I want to talk about them.
I was going to do a bit there about how I say you're the one and only, but I believe you have a twin. So how does this work?
Yeah, I have a twin. Adam's not making shit up.
No, but what I mean is if something, God forbid, anything was to happen to you, could we just slide him in or?
No, we don't look anything alike. He's not morbidly obese for one, and he hasn't got hair.
Okay.
So which tree do you want the apple from? Do you know?
Do you want the hair or do you want the...
I've got lovely locks of hair, but I'm going to die in 5 years. So.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant you were going to dye your hair then. No, I get you now. I get you. Mick, can you get us out of this, please?
I don't think anyone can get you out of this one. I don't have
that'd be a nice, clever bit.
I am genuinely unique. There's not another one of me.
That sort of sounds like you're saying Chris isn't, which I'm not trying to.
Well, he's the one who said he's got a twin. He's the one who said basically there's a bargain version of him if this one breaks.
I am a twin. It's not a bit that I'm doing where I pretend there's two of me.
Oh,
you don't have that weird twin quality that a lot of twins have.
How have we never talked about this?
Yeah, I don't know how.
Holy
I don't
shit,
know you're a twin.
530 episodes.
Because generally speaking, twins, without wanting to offend all twins, twins are usually a little bit weird. I mean, there's usually a weird twinness about them that you can tell there's a bit missing when they're on their own. Are you a twin? You can just tell these things.
Yeah, no,
I'm a bit missing.
We're non-identical.
Yeah, is that the thing? Is that what makes it?
What's the point then? Why do your parents bother?
Well, I mean, I don't think they chose, mate. It's 2 eggs versus 1. It's just almost only different.
I feel like his mum and dad didn't just go should we have 2 at the same exact moment?
If I'd had a twin that was not identical, I would have done everything in my power to make them identical. I'd have dressed them like me. Would I've made sure that they had the same cadence when
I still don't think you understand how twins work, Mick.
I think it's something you can control if you put the effort in, is what I'm saying.
Honestly, I don't give a shit. It's we don't have the mind control thing. We've got a very similar sense of humours.
But that's
just
growing up together,
in the same room together, because she just gets bullied.
Is that not a similar sense of humour? Is that not just you grow up together in the same house? You're gonna
a lot of it is a lot of it's shared stories and experiences, isn't it? Because you grow up together, you're both boys, so you do stuff together and stuff. So a lot of it is that.
If he's having a shit, you don't need to go for a wee or something.
No,
it's not.
That's the weird twin stuff I was on about.
I know what you were on about.
There's a connection.
No, I know what you were on about. I'm going to steer the conversation away from that.
I haven't done a poo diary, so I can't categorically say that actually we haven't got synchronized arseholes. I can't say that for definite, but I don't think so.
Oh, there was a moment where I was like, this isn't gonna work, and now it's
I'll tell you what, if synchronized arseholes is not the name of this podcast, I'm gonna give up.
I've gone for genuinely unique, but
mate.
but it leads into the genre that we're going to talk about. Genuinely unique. I'm trying to lead towards a video game because this is a gaming podcast.
Not many games about synchronized shitting, which again is not. It's just a lack of effort on the industry's part. I think.
Yeah, that's very true. I will admit that. But let's talk about. This is going to sound like we don't like the game though. Now going from this a lack of Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, out now, PC, PlayStation, definitely. I think Xbox. I would assume so. It's definitely on PlayStation, so I assume on Xbox. You guys have. I mean, Rick, you're Rick now, okay, Mick? Your name's now fine. Rick.
That's my twin's name.
Your twins.
The one that doesn't shit of his own accord.
Yeah, fair. He's shitting now, and I'm doing this. So
he has to.
Take that as you will.
Mick, Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, you've completed. Yes. Chris has completed. Yeah. I haven't, but let's talk about it anyway, right? Good game?
Yeah.
Me is the developer?
Me. Yeah, fantastic developer. Yeah. I don't know how familiar people are with them, though, because they're one of those developers that kind of just do the one genre, really. They don't do...
Desperados come to Game Pass? Or...
I think it did, because I think it's on PS Plus Extra.
Or am I thinking of Wasteland?
No, I think Desperados 3 is on Game Pass.
Okay.
I'm sure it's on PlayStation PS Plus Extra, so I'm sure it's probably on Game Pass as well.
Okay.
Yeah, me. This is pretty much all they do, which sounds a little bit reductive, but it's that they're really fucking good at it. So, like, I think they've been doing this since I want to say Commandos was the first one they ever did like this, and then they did sort of Desperados. I think they branched out into something. They tried something a bit different with one of the Desperados games. It didn't really work, and then they sort of cycled back to this. But they're probably the only developer that really does this particular genre. I think we've had like Hard West and Hard West 2. I can't remember the developer of Hard West 2, even though I reviewed it last year. That's a very similar genre to this. But I think for this one, I remember reading a press release where Me had sort of said, we've named this genre now because it's ours. And because it was always, people had always had it was always like, was it isometric stealth or stealth tactics, and they just said it's called stealth strategy now.
Okay, I was going to ask what is it? So stealth
strategy. Yeah, and they basically just said, look, it's ours. Essentially, this is our
really
genre.
Authority on it. So we're calling
no one else really does it.
They're certainly the best at it. Like,
it's now called. Oh, fantastic! They're so good. And the thing about Me is they don't ever seem to really. I know.
It's so ironic after talking about twins. To then go to Me. That was our link.
Always planned.
Yeah,
that.
always.
Couldn't have gone
the funny thing about that developer is that we've lost my train of thought.
I mean,
they stealth strategy, mate.
Yep.
Yeah. They're really good at it.
They are.
I forgot what I was going to say. No, but they are, and a lot of it is because I think like this is theirs, and even if you go back, like that's it. That's what I was going to say. They never miss a step, and it's true. They don't. They get better every time, and a lot of it is because they're quite willing. I mean, they're an independent developer anyway, so they've got a kind of a lot of their freedom in terms of what they want to do, but they tend to take risks with it. Like it's never like you go back to Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Shogun, that was set in sort of feudal Japan, and it was ninjas and samurai and all that sort of stuff. And then they did Desperados, or they went back to Desperados, and that was Wild West. And they do shake up their own formula. Like the difference between these games visually isn't great. Like if you look at Shadow Tactics and you look at Desperados 3, then you look at Shadow Gambit together, very similar things. They changed elements of the UI and stuff, but overall very similar control schemes. But the mechanics they put into them and the visual variety of locations and the settings and the things like that they're just very, very different. They've got a lot of imagination. They're a very inventive developer, and they're just like you said, they're just the best at this genre. And Shadow Gambit is another example of that. It's just amazing.
Not wishing at this early stage to crawl inside Mick Fraser's arsehole, but when I was playing this, because like I said, I've played it as well, and you go and read Mick's review, by the way.
Yes.
On GodIsAGeek.com. Definitely go and read it, because his first paragraph, I was like, literally was my exact thoughts when I was playing this game. And for those of you that's played Desperados 3, it's obviously Wild West, like Mick said. And we will get to talk about Shadow Gambit in a minute, mate. I know we can talk about it. There's a reason, right? When you're playing Desperados 3, if you've played it, it's quite a serious, down the line, like it's a Western, it's like guns and knives and stuff. And it's quite serious, like distract enemies, take them down, assassinations, that kind of thing. Move around strategically around the map, get to where you need to get to. It's all quite serious. And then you unlock the last character of Desperados, which is... not looking at Google. Isabel.
Isabel Moreau,
voodoo witch doctor lady. And it's at that point, I remember when I was playing it, I was like, because up until that point, like I say, the assassinations are quite, on the nose, aren't they? Then witch doctor's blood magic and shit and controlling characters, and all of a sudden you're like, this is cool. This is there's now a whole new element to how I can kind of solve these puzzles, and then. And I really love that. I was like, this game's cool. I remember it being in, like, I think my game of the year list that year. Like, I really enjoyed it, and that was where it really opened up for me. And the thing about Shadow Gambit is every character feels like Isabel, just with their own.
Well, what you described is how they start.
Yes,
like how you finish. Because
yes,
if
exactly
Mick hadn't said it, if you hadn't said it, it was like, well, I will. But it is like this to me, like, is everything they've done. I'm not going to say the developer's name, but the thing that Mick said so eloquently. Everything they've done feels like it's led to this. Like nothing was bad about Desperados. It was all cool. But like the fact you can lean into the supernatural, the fact you can go wherever you want to because of that weird ghostly things, because none of it's all made up, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all like they haven't
the
got
shackles are off.
Yeah, there's no narrative here or world that has to be stuck to grounded in reality. So like every single character. Whereas I feel like in a similar game you might be like, I don't know if I want person A or B to unlock. Like in this, once you play as a main character and then you unlock the next character, and it's a choice of two, and then it becomes a choice of, so to speak. In any other game, you might be like, it's kind of like, I'm just going to toss a coin. I don't really care, because like either way, they're just like shooting. Like this one, I really was like, that sounds so cool. Like that when I got to like the third character and I'm choosing between whatever it was, I can't remember, and like, oh, this person can snipe, but they've got one bullet and then they have to go and get it back. But if you upgrade them, someone else can walk over the bullet and pick it up. And I'm like, I don't know who I want, because they all sound so cool.
And this is the thing, like, this is why I love this game so much, because as much as I loved like Desperados 3, and I found it very structured, and what that means is that it's really well designed, by the way, that game. I don't want to shit on it, but like the way you're playing that game is you're almost trying to leap inside the brain of the developer and figure out how they want you to solve the layout of the land, right? Because you're in control of certain characters that they've selected for you, and you have to navigate towards an endpoint. Yes, there might be multiple routes, but there's clearly with soldier layout and stuff, there's ways in which they've intended with the character that you have to be to get through it. In Shadow Gambit, like you say, apart from the very first couple of missions, you like you say, you start with one person and then you choose one of two others to resurrect, so straight away you've got a free choice, and then after that you've just got another shed load that you can choose from. And like you say, do you choose the blind sniper lady, the guy with a chest for a gut, or the fisherman with a weird fixation for half-eaten fish? Like it doesn't matter. Like they're all quirky and they've all got their own strengths. They can all tackle the situations that are thrown at you, and it becomes more, rather than trying to figure out the specific ideas in the developer's head. Yeah, you're left with this sort of playground.
But I think that's even like, Mick gave it a 10, didn't he?
Yeah,
yeah. And I think I don't know if this is one of the reasons like you've ended up sitting on that, but like what Chris is saying there, I'm like properly like, yep, I salute that, because that could go wrong. Like designing levels with that in mind, with that many options in mind, could go wrong. And I don't mean you could mess up and we've got to go again, because we haven't talked about the rewind mechanic. What I mean is the level could like not be, I don't want to say broken, it could, but it could be in a lesser game by a lesser developer, that as you're playing it, is like, this doesn't feel good, because like it doesn't feel like it was designed. I feel like I've picked the wrong character, whereas I feel like what they've done is that's not the case. Like there's no point where I'm going, God, I've picked the wrong character, and that does happen in games.
The worst I felt whilst playing it is, I wish I had that character for this particular like couple of enemies set up. Well, not a whole mission, but for like this particular, there's 3 enemies talking to each other. If I just pick that character, this would be over in 10 seconds. It's never like, fuck, I fucked up, I can't do this. But some setups of enemies are easier to solve with other characters, so you might
even further
think a little bit harder.
But like, I'll say I've got an appreciation for that as well. But on an even deeper sense, I would say I really appreciate the fact that if you do mess up, and I did frequently, I'd spend 45 minutes on a level, and I'd often cock it up, reload, cock it up in a different way, reload, keep cocking it up, and like, do you know what? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. This is on me. But if you do then decide, I'm just I'm going for it. And
you
can get out of it. You can get out of a situation.
That's half the fun. Is setting off alarms and pegging it. Like,
sorry.
No, I want to talk about the rewind mechanics. If you want to come in there on that part, because that's what I was going to move on to next. So if you want to talk about that, then carry on.
Well, no, I was going to talk about the what you were saying about the character choice, because there's a point in the game which is the first time I really struggled with it, where the game it's at the point where you've got 6, because I think there's 8. In fact, there's 9 characters, but you've got the 6 characters.
If you want to find out how to unlock that character, I know a website you can look at.
You reach a point where you've got 6 characters, and then the game says, right, now we're going to split into 2 teams for this. So you think, right, okay, I'm going to have 2 missions here, and I'm going to be stuck with whoever. So I thought, because there were 2 characters that I was using all the time, I was using the John Mercury, the guy who can disappear into the floor and pull people, because he's just so useful. Yeah. And at the time, I was also using the guy with the chest and the fishing rod and the golden head that he distracts enemies with. So I split them up. I thought, well, if I'm going to be stuck in 2 teams, so I took my main character and the John Mercury, and I can't remember the other guy. I think it was the cook who can distract with the paper doll and then teleport.
Oh, I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Before you carry on, I will say this is so interesting. Like my last 2 characters that I unlocked, I think, were the cook and the guy with the fishing and the chest.
Oh, it's a shame.
So I'm sitting there going, I don't think I even have those characters for this. It's so cool to hear like all of this.
No, I think the cook's a little confusing at first, because I was like, it does. I think because one time you unlock someone, you go to a tutorial zone and it will show you their moves. I don't think you have to, but I did.
No, but can I just say that is brilliant?
Yeah, and there's a challenge as well for it, isn't there?
It's optional because you can just walk out. If you're mad,
you can just go and play,
right?
But you won't know what you're doing.
That's cool if you want to do that. But like, they're not difficult, but I think they do a really good job of introducing the 2 different. They normally have like 2 different like skills.
Yes,
these
2
characters,
skills, 2 abilities,
and then they do this third thing, which is like a challenge room to go right now. Try and put it all together.
Yeah.
But at any point you can leave if you like.
Just go play the story.
But I love that they have that. It's not just a video to watch. It's actually a little play area. It's like the game, I guess. It's like a play area to mess about with this new character, and then go into the main missions. I think those tutorials are really good.
I think with the cook though, like one of the things, like Mick, I didn't 100% pick on the first time was like when you put the doll down and then you warp to it, you can actually stick it to people, sort of thing.
Whoever's in range of the doll.
And
I wasn't quite getting that.
And you could also be. You could have stuck it to them and then walk the other side of the map.
Yes, and then you can do it.
Warp straight back.
That's what I'm getting at. Like I wasn't getting that at first.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend I'm good at this game. I will say that.
But that's what I was saying was I'd split because I'd split my characters. So the ones I normally used, I put one in each of the groups.
Yeah, I did the same.
So the first mission is decidedly easier than the second one.
Yeah. So you did the same thing as me. You'll have gone right. Team captains in Team A and Team B, and then I'll put my favourite people in Team A with my team captain, and then second captain and the 2 shit ones that I don't really like or haven't used as much. Not shit because they're all good.
And
then you get to the second bit, and it's this massive mission, and you're like, I need to relearn this.
And the second half was mental because I'd left myself with nobody that could distract anyone. Yeah, I'd left myself with the sniper, who's very, very good but very situational.
Yeah,
and then so all of a sudden you're up against these massive areas with all of a sudden there's enemy snipers that have got these ridiculous view cones, and it took me so long to do, because I'm one of these people that if there's a path through and I could sneak or I could just kill everybody, I'll just kill everybody, and then it just saves me the trouble later. But trying to set that up where you've got one guard patrolling the roof, and then every single guard, every single
was looking at someone else.
Was looking at someone else. So when you moused over all the view cones, it was like, fuck, how the hell? And in the end, it took me ages to get the sniper to one tower, the other guy to another tower, the other one to sit and wait. And then I did that showdown thing where you can press a button and then you coordinate all the attacks.
I forgot about that.
That's such. I use that all the time. That's great.
So I'd set a kill up and a snipe up, and the other guy to teleport across the map before that one turned around and saw it. And I sat there and I was like looking at it for ages, and I had the button ready to press, and I was like, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. And I thought, I don't know, I can save scum this. But I thought, if this doesn't work, I've no fucking idea.
Yeah, I can't do it.
And I did it, and it worked. And it's got to be the coolest mechanic to be able to watch everybody do their thing at the same time.
Do you know what it reminds me of?
Fall into place.
Do you remember Splinter Cell? Was it Blacklist? Where you could like line things up, and then you just pressed a button, and he would go.
Yeah, and he does it. Yeah.
And then they brought that into like Ghost Recon,
when you do it,
Wildlands, whatever.
It's so good. I want to talk about the save scumming.
Yeah,
because like we were talking about Baldur's Gate 3, like was it last week? It's only that long ago.
Yeah.
And we were talking about save scumming, and I was like, I've been playing this game that I couldn't talk about then, and I was like, I want to talk about it because I feel save scumming is quite a negative connotation.
Yeah, but it is. It's an very old term from like PC gaming in the past, isn't it?
In this game, you are actively encouraged to save scum, and not to the point like it's literally a built-in mechanic.
But that's kind of what I was getting at. We couldn't talk about Shadow Gambit when we were talking about Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
that's what was in my mind the whole time. Like, I couldn't say it because we weren't allowed to talk about it yet. Yeah. The embargo had lifted, but in my head, I was like, if you want me to do this, make it a mechanic. Tell me to do it, explain it, make it a thing in your game, and that's kind of all. Again, I know it sounds like a cop out to go, well, but we genuinely weren't able to talk about Shadow Gambit at the time we talked about Baldur's Gate 3. And I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying that's what. No, it's very different playing them two games. Very different games.
Very different. Yeah,
but one's very clear about it.
There's a few things I want to say about it. Yeah. Because it literally, in the tutorial mission, it introduces it as a thing.
I think it does it before it even tells you. Because the very first time it does that green bell, I was like, what the bloody hell's going on? I know it's about ghostly pirates. And then eventually I was like, oh, that's what it is. Because it tells you. And I was like, oh, okay. But I'm pretty sure the first time it doesn't tell you.
No, it doesn't. But what I like, but it's part of the game. The idea of the game is not that you're supposed to solve every mission like first time, and the idea
I think that would be a shit game. I think it would be a shit game if it was like, every time you're just like, yep, done it, easy,
you're supposed
completed it, mate.
The whole point, the reason why this game is so fun is because, like I said, it is a playground. You're supposed to test things out, cock up.
You're supposed to experiment with things that you do.
Okay, that plan didn't fucking work. Let's try this thing. And the save scum, the whatever it's called, memory thing. I forget. I can't remember.
They just call it capturing a memory.
Capturing a memory.
You just capture it for the shit.
But they also make it part of the narrative, by the way.
They did.
Yeah, it's canon.
It's actually part of the story.
So it's not.
Later on, Adam, when the game starts fucking with the mechanic.
Oh, I believe
against
you. Really? See, that's cool.
Really cool. The one thing I did want to say is that what I really like about this is that it's completely interwoven into the narrative and plays into the story right until the very final mission.
And the Red Marley will tell you, by the way, if you've gone too long, the game knows to go, hey, don't forget, like, but it also says it actually speaks to you and says, don't forget I can help you. And you're like, you're right. Yeah. I've not done that in a while. I'm going to regret it if I don't, because I'm going to lose half an hour.
And you can turn that off if you don't want to be reminded. But but the whole point, the point is, it's not. I don't think for me, it's not save scumming. It's the way the game is designed to be played. That's literally how it is. Like in training missions, you get to different points in the training missions, and it tells you the button imprint on the side of the map, like as part of the furniture. Have you acquired the memory or whatever it's called? But have you saved in this bit? Otherwise, you're going to have to go back if you cock up or you die. But you will be cocking up and dying, and it's part of it.
But like, it does that so well that like when you like you say, when you press it, you get a bit of it saves. It kind of freezes a bit, and
it's like a little But
what I'm saying is, you've done that because it's part of the game. It's part of the narrative. Whereas in Baldur's Gate, I'm pressing F5 to save scum or whatever, and it's like there's a micro freeze, and it's like, for something that's supposed to be like really super immersive, and we talked about the story and it's cool, it's great. It didn't take much for them to say it, to explain it, to make it part of the story. And I suppose it would be more difficult to do that.
Well, the tutorializing in this game in general is fantastic. Like Chris says, you've got these optional training missions that teach you everything about the character, and it doesn't take long because the mechanics for each character are really creative, really clever, really work well together, but are also really, really simple. Like they're really
simple,
just like throw this here, that distracts him. One character you can throw dust at them and it makes the guard walk away. You can upgrade it later to make them walk the
complexity comes
really
in the missions, isn't it? The complexity comes in the environment and the placements of. It's like a chess game almost.
In some ways, like it reminded me a little bit of like sort of like Breath of the Wild or something like that, where you get all the kind of puzzle bits and things in your arsenal, and then you just get loads of puzzles to figure out how you're going to
do
this.
And some of them are really, really clever because it plays in with things like the badges. Like you don't realise that sometimes you'll just unlock a badge for doing something the game wanted you to do. You didn't tell you had to do it, but you see the option. Like there's things that you can just do where, like I think there's mission because the missions are set.
Talk to me about badges, Mick. I've definitely not written lots of guides about badges.
But because the missions are set in the same areas, but in different portions of the same area. Sometimes in the same area, but it's nighttime because that makes a big difference whether it's daytime or nighttime with view cones and what you can get away with. But because you're allowed to do that, the islands themselves have these badges that you can like. There's one where if you sneak onto the galleons that are there and murder all the guards on the galleons through the course, you unlock these badges. You don't have to do it. You don't even get anything really for doing them apart from.
Well, let's not say things we can't back up. But no, you're right. There is so much. Like I will say, there's a lot of missions in this game in terms of the main story.
It's a long game.
It's a long game. There's about 30 hours or so of game. There's a whole lot of replayability afterwards when you finish the game. There's a lot here that you can do. And like Mick says, you can go after badges and things and stuff, where, in terms of like doing certain things on certain islands, which are separate from the main task that you're there to do. And as like little rewards. And it's so good. I had so much fun playing this game. Like it was very much like,
I think that's the operative thing as well, that it's so much fun. Like this is a game that could easily have been fucking really frustrating,
serious.
Like I mentioned Hard West 2 earlier, and that was by a different developer, and I'm afraid I just cannot remember who the developer is. That's a really good game. It's very similar. It's self-strategy. It's supernatural Western.
Creative Forge Games, by the way.
Right, cool, and it's really good. I'm not going to knock it. I gave it a high score. Really enjoyed it. It's got some really cool stuff, like you've got a character that can body swap with an enemy so that the other enemies will shoot that character instead, and you've got all these cool little things in it. But I found that it even does the thing where it reminds you to save the game, and then you can quick save, quick load. There's all that saves come in stuff, but it's not as well. I don't want to be negative. It's not as well thought out, and it became frustrating. Like I was playing, I was like, "This is frustrating now. I'm frustrated now. I don't know how to do this because I've only got these characters, so I must have to use these characters for this mission." And like you said, in Shadow Gambit, I mean, I never did it, but you could, if you really got stuck, you could go, fuck it, I'll restart the mission and take 3 different crew members with me, and I'll try something completely different. I never had to do that. I think I said to Chris, I was way past sort of the midpoint before I even realised that each character had a flintlock with a shot in it. So if you got really stuck, you could just shoot everybody,
just shoot things,
and like because it is so much fun. I didn't get frustrated. Like there was a bit where I was so stuck on this one mission, and I went away from it. I had to have a break, and I came back the next day, and I looked at it with fresh eyes and went, well, actually, I've because I got so caught up in taking the characters to the right-hand side of this island, and that's what I've done. So I went, fuck it, I'll just sneak everybody back, and we'll try the left side. And that was the way I did it. And it was this is easier. There's a different way through now. And then you start to realise that you can coordinate all these crazy, crazy powers and attacks, and the game itself gives you this massive amount of choice. By basically saying you pick a landing point out of these 3, 4, whatever landing points, this is your target. However you get there is up to you. And it's so malleable that you forget how much freedom you've got to do it. And
I definitely didn't lie in bed on just before going to sleep thinking about how I was going to get past the next bit I was stuck on. and then figured it out whilst I was lying in bed, and then gleefully jumped out of bed the next morning to try it as soon as I could, and was thrilled when it worked. Like it definitely has got that quality about it where you just want to keep playing. I found myself like I just really wanted to keep playing, and even though I guess when you look at it on the face of it, you're like, aren't you just doing the same things each time, dodging and taking stuff? You're really not, because the way it's set up and the things you have to do in the missions and the characters that you can choose and stuff. Sure, you could always pick the same character if you really wanted to, but you'll find yourself like you'll have favorites, but you'll sometimes you have to pick other ones, and other times you just want to try out the new sniper you've just unlocked or whatever, because it just feels fresh and new. I loved it from beginning to end.
I just want to say as well, just before we move on, that you say there about where you unlock a new character and you just want to go and try them. It's one of those games where you'll have like a core 3 who you use for a couple of missions, because it generally takes 2 or 3 missions to get the materials that you need to unlock another character. Like you have to do at least 2 missions to get the soul energy and the black pearl you need to bring another character back. But you do this thing, so you'd play with 3 characters, a couple of missions, and you'd be really comfortable. Then you'd unlock a new one, and you'd think, I'm going to have to try the new character. I've got to try it. It's not going to be as good. Then you'd try it, and then the mission after that, you'd be like, now I don't know what to do.
I've got 4 favourites, and I can only take 3.
To use. And then you've got like I unlocked I went along a different unlock path to you, and the last 2 characters I unlocked was the aristocrat guy, Pincus, his name, I think his name is, and Gale with the cannon.
Yeah.
So I didn't unlock them until right towards the back end of the game. So I'd gone all the way through with, I unlocked Toya first, which is the cook. Then I unlocked John Mercury, and I'd stuck with them to at least one of each of those in every group. And so when I got to the end, to the back end or the back half of the game, and I suddenly had Gale unlocked, and then I was like, like, how can I fit this hulking woman with a cannon on her back into what I'm doing? And then I took her into the mission. I was like, how does this still work? How does this still
I know.
Feel clever and fresh?
It doesn't feel like it should, because they are very different. Like you say, there's snipers and there's close quarter assassins and things. And you're like, how is you think what's this going to have? Who's this character going to have? And how is it going to be useful?
Well, when you get Gale, all of a sudden you can knock one character out, one enemy out with another enemy, because she has that move where she can stuff an enemy into a cannon and then launch it at another character. And that sort of stuff is just incredible. And at that stage of the game where I was like, how is this game still surprising me with the things these characters can do? And it's just, well, that's why I gave it a 10, because it's the absolute best example of this genre that I've played, and I've played a lot of these games. It's fantastic.
And I would say, if you've not played this genre, it's a really good place to start, because it's very accessible.
Yeah,
like you say,
and it's its own story, so you're not relying on previous. You don't have to have played Desperados and stuff to play this. It explains everything as if you're brand new.
And if you do need a helping hand, and you are looking to play Shadow Gambit, then you can look at godisageek.com for a plethora of supporting documentation and guides to help you through every moment of the game.
And on that note, moving on to, well, originally I was going to actually queue up Blasphemous 2, which we will talk about in a bit, but I feel like you're going to get emotional whiplash if you go from the sort of joyousness, do you know what I mean? The sort of joyous nature of that. And also, you mentioned about Moorish gameplay and like just wanting to play more. Vampire Survivors is out now on Nintendo Switch. It's not new. Well, it's new to Switch. I played a bit of Vampire Survivors. Yeah, no, I played a bit of Vampire Survivors back when it was in early access on PC, when it first started getting a lot of heat, should we say? Yeah, and I'll be honest, I wasn't particularly gone on it. Like I didn't really get it. I don't think. I will freely admit, I also, now I know this, I didn't play enough of it to get it. I played it and didn't really, and I don't know how much of that is down to me. And this is not me shirking responsibility. It was quite a while ago, so I don't know how much of it there was then, because it was an early access game, you know. And they've added to it over and over and over. I wasn't blown away by it, if I'm honest with you, because it reminded me a lot of, I don't know if this will mean anything to you guys, but there was a game that I played a lot of on Spectrum called Gauntlet. They actually I think, Mick, you reviewed one of the
I remember the original too. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, so I was playing this thinking, everyone's making all this noise about this game. This is just Gauntlet. Like, I got it because it's like, well, yeah, but a lot of those people probably weren't even born when Gauntlet came out. Like, so that's fair enough. So, I don't know what made me play more of it. I don't know if it's because I could sit on the sofa and play it on the Switch, you know, and because a lot I love PC gaming, but I do find sometimes when PC gaming, I'm distracted a lot because of things like work, which are on a PC. So the fact I was just sat there playing it on the sofa, I get it now, and I was sort of there was the moment for me where I knew, oh, hang on, this is something. It was half time during, I forget which football match. It was half time, and I thought, you know what? While they're chatting away at half time, I'm going to grab the Switch out the dock and have a quick run.
Was it Man United Wolves?
Could have been. No, it wasn't actually. It wasn't. It was before that. I missed the whole second half, and I looked up and I was like, oh, so it's like where I work out here. I'm in my garden in a cabin, and I'm like, oh, it's dark now, and like it's not only is it dark, oh, the football's finished, and I got it. Now I don't know if all this was there in the like when I played it first. I don't know if it had like all the weapon evolutions and all the levels and stuff because I never got to see them. I don't know if it had any of the tutorializing, which it does have a lot more of now. It is quite special. I have to say, like I get it now. All the people who got it when I couldn't, I get it now.
Yeah, I remember playing it for the first time.
Yeah,
or the first couple of goes, and thinking exactly the same of you. Going, I've played this game before.
This is not new. Why are people saying this is something new?
This is just people that haven't been born that are going, oh, aren't old school like games really fun? Like, yeah, they are. I played them 20 years ago. They're great and they have their place. Well done. And then, like you, when I haven't played it for a little while, I want to go back to it now. It's got all this stuff in it, but it was for me. I remember it was the whole like unlocking of characters and crafting of the special things. When you get one of this and one of this equals this, and there's like a whole recipe book and stuff. And I was like,
that's it.
Holy crap, this game's deep. And I like for
hyper
me, it was
mode
just
and
like,
stuff.
no, this is just like just try and stay alive for as long as you can, which essentially is what it is. But like when you start realizing how much choice and like flexibility and variety there is to it, and tactics is not just dodge and stuff like that. Like I was like, this game is great. Like, and like I remember playing it for a whole evening, going, I mean, I haven't achieved anything, but I've had a brilliant time.
I feel if I'd had this experience with it last year, I think it would have been in our list. I think I'd have felt that strongly about it. And I will say, it is a more complete game now. There's no question about that, because they've also added co-op. Like, it's offline co-op. And I even think the way they've integrated co-op is clever. Like, it isn't just you leveling up. It isn't just there's another one. Like, it is 4-player co-op if you want it, which is just, I only played 2, but like in 2 it's mad enough. So like
what sounds mental.
Yeah. When you level up, you like it rotates. So like the first, if I'm player 1, when you level up to level 2, you choose for your loadout. Next time you level up, because it's a shared bar, so each time it's rotating around 1 2 3 4 1 2 or 1 2 1 2 1 2. So you can almost have that, and being offline almost does work because you have that coordination and be like, oh, well, I'm going to go for like the garlic and the projectile stuff. Why don't you go for the Bibles? And it really works. And then there's the thing like, well, do we stay close together or do we draw? And all that sort of stuff. It's just really well thought out, like the co-op. The co-op.
Presumably friendly fire.
No friendly fire. No.
I was going to say that would be intense.
It's just, listen, I'm breaking no boundaries or bringing any hot takes here by saying it's a really cool video game. Yeah. But like, I just never saw the stuff I've seen this time around. Like, I never completed a level, if that makes sense. Like, I never maxed out a 30-minute level, and like then death just comes in and kills you because it's like you're done. This level has a time limit. I never got that. Yeah, like I never got that. I bet there's a way of killing death. You know what I mean? I bet there is. I bet there's a way of doing that. I bet there's a way of extending it somehow, because there's so much secret stuff, and once you start unlocking like level 4 and 5 and stuff, it's just there's so much. Once you get the access to a map, and like you say, it's a fantastic game. I have to completely put my hand up and say I was wrong. I'm happy to do that. It's not the first time this year, let's be honest. But I'm happy to put my hand up and say I was wrong about Vampire Survivors. It's a fantastic game. I misjudged it based on what was there when I played it, and I just didn't have the time to play as much as needed. If someone had said to me, just keep playing, I probably would have got there. But doing it this time on my own accord, I'm like, yeah, this is a phenomenal game. It's not the only, there's no bad games on the pod this week, though, because, Mick, Blasphemous 2, go for it. Talk to us.
It's fucking hard.
It's very hard, isn't it?
I'll give it. I tell you what, actually. So, I didn't like Blasphemous 1 that much. I'm a big fan of the genre. I love Metroidvanias. I don't necessarily like Metroidvanias when they mix in more Soulsy stuff and then they're hard for the sake of it. And I felt some of Blasphemous was a bit like that. I felt that some of it was just like, Jesus Christ. And also, like, I think we discussed this recently, but like, I'm not big on the imagery. I'm not really big on the I get the whole it's kind of like lampooning sort of Catholic dogma in like a really like heavy-handed way, and I get it, and you know it has a theme, it has its thing, but that was kind of I got most of the way through the first Blasphemous, and I was like, I'm kind of sick of this shtick now. It's like, you know, all the Latin and the grandiose
it's relentlessly
and it's
bleak,
and it's very bleak.
Bleak's
very
the word
grim.
I choose. It's just like, ugh.
And so and then also, like, not for nothing, but the mechanics of Blasphemous 1 become quite stale part way through because they don't ever really change. Like, it's not really a Metroidvania, it's more of a Souls-like. It's not really, you know, much of a 2D action game because you've only got the one sword. You've got a couple of different, you know, abilities. You've got your incantations and things like that. But I wouldn't have said this if I hadn't played Blasphemous 2, but now it feels like it was a proof of concept for Blasphemous 2, which I know a lot of originals are. When you get the sequel, you kind of get that feeling, but there's so much more in Blasphemous 2.
Yeah.
Like, not only, like, so for example, like the weapon, the idea behind the weaponry in Blasphemous 2 is incredibly cool. Like, you only had one sword in Blasphemous. You had the Mea Culpa, and it was just a sword. And, you know, it was a nice big sword. It was terrifying, whatever, what swords are supposed to be. In Blasphemous 2, you get a choice at the beginning of which weapon to choose from. You've got, there's a sword called the Praying Blade, which is a single sword. There's a dagger and rapier combo. And there's a great big giant flail, basically, which is the war censer. And obviously, they follow pretty straightforward patterns. The single sword is your all-rounder. The rapier is super fast but weaker. The flail is heavy and slow, but it has a longer reach. So you've got these three choices. But those weapons also are the Metroidvania element. Like, they make up the bulk of the Metroidvania element. Like, you'll unlock the ability to cling to certain walls, to double jump, all those things that you normally get in a Metroidvania game. But to get through certain pathways, you need a specific weapon. Now, normally in a Metroidvania game, you start with something. You start seeing all these doors you can't open. You'll kill a boss, or you'll find a secret, or you'll find a chest. You'll get the key, and you'll be able to unlock some of those things, and then it'll repeat. What Blasphemous 2 does, it lets you choose which key you have at the beginning. So if you pick, which I did, the rapier, you can use that to sort of teleport through magic mirrors. Later on, you can use it to do an air dash, gets you through certain obstacles. But you've got these big fleshy knots that like block the walls and block the doors and block the floors. Couldn't work out how to get through those. There's these giant bells that are just there, and you can hit them and they do nothing. Well, it turns out that if you've got the sword, you can get through the fleshy barriers. If you've got the war sensor, you can ring the bell and it changes the level. So if you were to pick the war sensor, for example, at the beginning, you can go through all the pathways locked by those bells instead. So that becomes your path through the game. And then after a certain point, you'll unlock the next weapon, then you can switch between them. But then now you've got 2 keys. Now you've got 2 options to get through the game. You know, at a certain point, you'll unlock these other abilities, like I said, like the wall hang. You haven't got that from the beginning. You've got to unlock it, and you can use it. So it does this really clever thing where, and I wouldn't say necessarily it adds to replayability, because it's not the sort of game. I'm not big into being punished by games. Like, I love Souls-likes, you know that. I love that sort of thing, but I'm not a glutton for punishment. I don't finish a Souls-like and think, right, I'm going back to do all that again. I revel in the experience and I'm done. So I'm not saying that I would necessarily go back and replay this, but you definitely could, and you might get a slightly different path through the game. But also they've added a lot of extra stuff. Like, so for example, you can at the beginning you'll reach a hub fairly early on, and in the hub there's a sculptor working in this particular room. You go in and talk to the sculptor, and he's got these altar pieces. And basically, you've got 4 slots of 2. You have to unlock them. You start off with 3 unlocked, and then you can unlock more. Throughout the game, you'll find effigies, these little altar pieces, and you can take them to the sculptor, and he'll put them in the altar piece for you. These are buffs. So you'll have, like, I don't know, your spells will do more damage, or your melee will do more damage, or something. You can slot them and they become permanent buffs. You've always got those. If you get the right combinations in each pair of altar pieces, they unlock further buffs. They unlock, like, things called resonances. And then you get a further buff on top of that buff. So all of a sudden, you've gone from a game in Blasphemous where you've got 1 sword and one path, to a game where you've almost got build diversity. You've almost got the option. It's not quite there. It's not quite free enough to say, well, I'm going to build into magic, or I'm going to build into, but the options there, and the more of these altar pieces you unlock, and the more of these resonances you find, the more you can lean into specific builds. So it just adds a lot more to it, and that for me makes it less oppressive than the first game. Like, I almost thought some points of the first game I was being bullied by the game because I had to do it like Sekiro kind of felt at times, because you were kind of led down. Whereas in Blasphemous 2, it's got a lot more malleable, so it's a lot more fun. It's still fucking really bleak and really grim, and
it's still hard.
And it's still very hard. Like, there's a couple of bosses in it that just they took far too long, but it's a better game.
Yeah. Well, should we jump into listener correspondence, because there's a question about Blasphemous in there anyway, so we can talk a bit more about it there. Shall I play the jingle, Chris?
Do it. Chris Hyde, listener correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde. Okie dokie. So the first question on listener correspondence this week's from Lyle. It says, I know it's always a tough time when Lyle isn't on the podcast, and we all miss him dearly. As an aside, I, Chris Hyde, miss him so much. This isn't part of the question. I just miss my best friend. Now, if for some reason Lyle was to leave the podcast, which celebrity would you choose to replace him after a suitable period of mourning? Thanks, guys. Hope you're coping okay.
Have you got a different document to mine?
No, I haven't. It says anonymous on the document, but he fucking wrote that. No one else did.
Okay. All right, fair enough. What's the answer?
Are you going to call me a liar?
I don't know who wrote it. It says anonymous.
Well, who put it on the doc then? Because I didn't, and Mick definitely wouldn't have done. No offense, Mick. So it's you.
Sorry, I can't. I don't.
Jimmy Cranky.
Fucking anyone.
Anyone. Do you know what? I was going to give you an answer, but I'm not even.
I don't.
Bono.
The singer.
Yeah.
Or the goalkeeper. Okay.
Oh yeah, Mick with the football reference.
Mick commenting on Sevilla's goalkeeper Bono.
Yeah.
I think Rylan Clark.
Rylan, I'd have Rylan. Oh, hang on the pod.
I bet, yeah.
No, I tell you what, right? Because he's on telly quite a bit as a presenter, isn't he? He appeared on a podcast I listened to, and the man is fucking brilliant. He is so funny. Like, he is genuinely so funny. Like, I would never have thought, if you'd say like list comedians, he would have been like so far off the list. I would never have got to him. I would have thought of him as a TV presenter. But like, listening to him this, like, I'd watch his stand up. Man's funny. So yeah, him. Just because I thought I'd give a serious answer at least.
I don't think Lyle's worth a Rylan Clark.
I'm trying to sort of the equation. I don't think this isn't the maths corner. We don't have a jingle.
Yeah, Lyle does not equal Rylan.
I don't think so. Not quite. I think there's there's not enough beard on Rylan, and there's not enough height on Lyle. I think so. I don't know.
Well, there you go.
The bearded lady from
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman. She can belt out some tunes as well at the same time. So what we lose in Lyle's comedy, we gain and still a fantastic beard.
Yeah.
It's your segment, mate. I can't move it on.
Yeah,
I want to keep talking about Lyle.
Shit, if he never comes back. Right. Mick sent us all some questions. So, Mick Fraser, I'll do yours first. So, okay. Blasphemous 2 questions first. Do you think Blasphemous 2 needs accessibility options?
No.
Cool. You posted your review on GodIsAGeek.com. You did. Yeah. Was this a jump like Neo 1 to Neo 2?
Yeah. Massively.
It seems to be every question he asks.
I know, now. Yeah.
Is every jump the same as Neo 1 to Neo 2?
He sends me that question in the middle of the night about anything. I'll be like, I'm just eating a Twix. Was that the same kind of jump as Neo 1 to Neo 2? It's just it's Mick, isn't it? But no, I tell you what, to go back, what was the first question about Blasphemous?
Do you think it needs accessibility options?
Yeah, I did. I jumped over that a little bit, but I think
needs translation for me.
Yeah, from an outside,
it needs a
perspective. I think I don't think any game is harmed by having accessibility options. Right? Dead Cells.
Listen, I'm the one making the bold statements this week, Mick. Come on.
If you want to play a game hard, play it hard. Having accessibility options doesn't take away from the people who want to play the game for a challenge, but it opens the door to the people who want to play the game for fun, not necessarily to be beaten around the face with a fucking bloody crucifix like Blasphemous does to you. So I don't think there's any reason why a game shouldn't have accessibility options. I've never opened up a game I've never opened up a Souls-like or anything like that, saw accessibility options and gone, fuck this shit. What's this catering?
This is an outrage.
Yes,
it is weird.
Imagine allowing more people to play a game that I myself.
But do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me, and this I don't know if this will play for you as a reference, but do you know when you're really into a band and no one's heard of them, and then your mates into that band as well, and he gets really shitty when they get successful. So, oh well, I liked them when before they were famous.
They were famous.
It's absolutely all right if more people like the band you're into. Like it's good for the band. They worked really hard and now they've got success.
Dead Cells is a good example. Dead Cells is very, very hard if you want it to be. It has accessibility options that you can turn on and you can play the whole thing and just have fun with it. That's up to you. If you've paid for the game and it has those options and you want to use them, that's fine. If you are a sort of person who actively thinks that someone else's enjoyment in a game somehow lessens your enjoyment, you are probably a twat.
This is the thing, right? Like, I say this with all the love I can muster to every single other human being in the world. I couldn't give a single gram of fuck how you play games. I really couldn't. I always, without fail, will default to the normal setting of difficulty on any game on the first playthrough. I may then change my mind very quickly, but that will always be. It's just a thing I do. I'm weird. Always. No matter what game it is. Even if I've played every other game in the series, I will always default to the normal.
That's not weird.
Yeah, that seems normal.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I think
definitely
that's
not weird.
Like standard practice.
Yeah, and then that's what I do. But I couldn't give.
Oh, fuck you, Chris, playing it on the intended difficulty.
No, I know. Yeah. No, my point is fucking
filthy casual. I was
making was I have a very specific way of playing those games, which I guess is normal, but it's still I will not shift from that. But I could not give a flying fuck what other options there are, whether that's a difficulty setting or a slider options for various different things. Fill your boots. I'm playing it this way. I'm not even going to experience how you're playing it, so I don't give a shit. Knock yourself out. Like, it doesn't affect me. I'm playing it this way, and I'll moan about it. It's fine. Like,
Final Fantasy 16 does it well, and a game we can't talk about yet does it well. So let's move on before I accidentally get us in trouble.
Yes, 100%. I know what you mean. Yeah. We'll talk about that. Yeah. Mick, will you be syncing your save to PS5 Baldur's Game of the Year 3 and continuing, or did you have enough of it for now?
Can I answer this for him? He's got to put a score on it. He can't have had enough of it. It's so shit.
Could you imagine? He's like, yeah, I'm fucking done with it.
I'm not scoring.
Yeah, probably. I don't know, because obviously if I get access on PlayStation 5, then I've got to test it on PlayStation 5. I don't want to start again. Now I've got quite, so far through it. So I probably will sync it and play it on PlayStation 5. And I've got to score it, like Adam said.
But I was thinking about that PlayStation 5 version, and I was thinking, I wonder what... Because I got a sneaking... Because my PC's decent enough, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the PS5 hardware will make it look a little bit better and run a bit smoother. Now, I don't know. But this isn't like a...
It might do.
Wink. I mean, No, I haven't played it on PS5. I don't know if they're going to send it out early or not for PS5. I hope so, because I'd like to try it again myself, but... I just have a sneaking suspicion it might run a bit. Well,
I've been playing. I played it quite a lot on deck, so I got used to the controls. But every time I play on PC, I kind of just find myself putting the controller down and just using mouse and keyboard because it feels a lot more immediate and precise.
It definitely feels mouse and keyboard.
It's not a game that you have to go fast on. Like you can,
It's really weird though. Like to me, I started on controller, moved to mouse and keyboard. There's a question about handheld Baldur's Gate. It almost feels like two different games. Like the control schemes are so different. Like if you play it with a controller, you have direct control over your characters.
Yeah. Well, if you play it with mouse and keyboard, completely different.
Well, yeah, but not just that too. But is it alt or control? If you hold it down, it scans the whole area for you. Whereas if you do that on a controller, it will ping out like a circle as high as much as you want it, and then once you've done that, you can just go through each one of them manually. And it's like it's a very different game actually. Not saying it's better or worse either way. I don't know. But
I do prefer direct control over
I think I do.
than click to move, though.
Generally speaking, I do, but I didn't want to give up all the other things I had to give up to get it, so I stuck with mouse and keyboard so far. Yeah.
Wonder if the Wizards will be as squishy on PS5. Anyway,
yours will.
Yeah, right, Mick. So we've got a couple of things you've got you've got 2 game options. You've got to choose. No thinking, just pick your favourite. Okay, right. I'm going to give you some options. Wild Hearts or Sunbreak? Okay, no thinking, just pick one.
Sunbreak.
Right. Baldur's Gate 3 or Tears of the Kingdom? Oh, no, hang on. Can we
Baldur's
do this?
Gate 3.
Wow. Pikmin 4 or Final Fantasy 16?
Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, that's crushed Adam's dreams. That's the end. I'll go on to Adam's questions. Will you be playing Baldur's Game of the Year 3 on PS5? Did you try on Rogue Ally?
Yes, and yes. I'd like to. Again, it sounds like bullshit, but I genuinely think I now have got to the age, or I don't know if it's age or what, but I just prefer to be sat down on a sofa away from anything work-wise and playing a game on a big screen. So yes, I will be trying to get back into it on PS5. I did try it in Rogue Ally. It feels like one of those games you sort of need to plug it in to get the maximum juice, because it's like it drops it down to 30 frames at best, and that's being kind on the performance sort of mode. So putting up to turbo, you get a bit more. I read a lot of people say, oh yeah, it's fine on 30 frames per second. Doesn't matter. I don't know. I found it a little bit sort of. I found it a bit ropey, but yeah, no. I did try it, and it's if that's the way you want to play, fine. But I think it will if you really love the game anyway. You could play it on your PS5, bells and whistles, and then you got a handheld like a Steam Deck or a Rogue Ally that you can I haven't got the TV tonight. I think it's a good device for that. I really like the idea of cross save. I think it's great when games do cross save. I really do. And I don't just mean I don't mean it's FIFA, so it's across my account, or it's I'm playing Overwatch, so I mean actual where uploads a save that you've just done to a cloud, and I think I like that a lot.
130 gig on everything though.
Yeah, that's
a pretty big game. It's pretty big game.
It's so big.
Are you going to try the new Guilty Gear Strive update this month?
I am not.
What are your thoughts on the new Splatoon amiibo having more exclusive junk to unlock?
I like the new amiibo. I haven't actually seen what they unlock. I will say that Splatoon's a strange one because it's such a fantastic game, and it really does feel like Splatoon 3 is like, again, everything they learned, they finally delivered it. I just don't play it, and I don't know why. So yeah, haven't an awful lot to say about that.
Favourite cheese to have with sourdough bread on toast? Now, we have to take the question as written, so I can only assume he means that you're putting cheese on top of bread on top of toast.
Does it make a difference?
What, you make some toast, put some bread on it, and then put cheese on top of it, do you?
No, we didn't have bread and cheese sandwiches.
No, but what I'm saying is whether or not we take it as written, Or
I mean, I have no idea, mate. You may.
I imagine he means what are you putting on?
I know what he means.
Toast,
Chris is
right?
being incredibly facetious
This is
here.
just being.
Yeah,
Hey,
but what I'm saying is whether or
brings
not
the listeners
Chris
to Chris Hyde's list
No,
of
listen,
we could have him
correspondence
on
corner.
next week.
But you listen, you're not getting what I'm saying. What I'm saying is whether or not we take it as written,
You'd have
why
the
would
same
that
cheese.
change my answer? It'd be the same cheese, right?
I don't know. It might.
Would it change yours then? Would you be like, oh well, actually, if there's another bit of toast, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I would go cheddar. I think cheddar is a really nice crisp cheddar, like one
With
that
raw
crumbles
bread
a
on
bit.
toast, you want a red Leicester, surely.
I'm not going to turn it down. I'm not particularly fussy. I don't veer into blue territory very often with cheese, but
it's all about the Boursin, isn't it?
I'd take that. Not particularly wouldn't be my choice, but
If someone offered you a piece of sourdough toast and it had like a nice Wensleydale or something like that, but then also had a piece of raw bread, it's the raw bread you question, right? You're going to take whatever cheese they give you. You're going to say...
I would question people
what's-
double stacking two different.
I definitely question it.
Types
But
of
what
bread.
the point I'm saying is that sourdough is a fairly crisp outer anyway.
Might as well chuck a Rivita on
I'm
there
not-
while you're
Yeah,
at it.
exactly. Yeah, and a
Fucking
cracker.
My answer's cheddar.
No, he's not. He's not one for fucking about. Let's move on. Coffee or tea in the morning? You miserable
Coffee.
cunt. Yeah. Favorite collector's edition you've seen in the last few years? Mick's, presumably.
Eh?
Favorite collector's edition.
Oh,
you've
yeah,
seen in
seen
the last
plenty
few
of
years.
that.
In that fucking corner. Kick it.
Does the Starfield controller count? It's not really a collector's edition. It's a special. No,
I know
okay.
you're
Well,
teasing over that.
Street Fighter 6. I didn't actually know it existed. Somehow, having previewed it not once, not twice.
Which one's this?
So it's just like a big box with like a couple of little figurines of the Street Fighter characters.
Oh,
some of the
okay.
Street Fighter, and I just didn't know it existed. I thought it was like a press pack, like that was sent out like for shops and stuff. I didn't realize it was an actual special edition. So,
I really
Yeah,
like that Plague Tale one. That one from last year.
I mean-
the statue with Amicia and Hugo and the rat. Fantastic.
I do kind of, again, not to go back to Starfield, I do kind of like the Starfield one that's got the watch and that, but I'm a bit burnt by like the Pit Boy was apparently cheapy, wasn't it, and didn't have a problem with the 76 stuff, so it's a bit trust.
My
issue,
mate
but
got the Pit Boy and it's not great.
No, it's like really plastic. No, I think
Yeah.
Street Fighter 6 because I honestly can't think of too many others that have really gone. Two.
Okay. That's the end
It's your
of
questions, though, isn't it?
It is.
Chris, what do you have against calamari?
Oh, it's rubbery shit. Me and Mick were talking about this when you were
It
off.
is rubbery
we were talking about
shit.
fish.
Yeah,
I'm with Chris on this.
Just if you remember, I was producing it, so I was there.
Yeah, but for fuck's sake. Okay, everybody. Adam was
It's
in the
the
background.
illusion
I was
he was
hosting
going
and I was
for.
chatting to Mick about it, but Adam was still there. Please don't forget Adam.
Oh,
Too lazy to come
they
on.
couldn't.
but he
You
was there
kept
in
bringing
the
me
back.
up. I was there thinking, "Fuck me, these two are obsessed." But
Oh.
also,
Yeah, we
also,
just kept messages going. Don't forget to mention my name.
would you not think I'd listen
boss,
to it?
All right.
Would you not think I'd listen to it?
Yeah.
So even if I wasn't there, do you not think I'd have listened to you guys, my
Yeah,
friends?
but then you'd forget. You forget what day of the week it is.
Fine. What do you have against calamari?
It's rubbery
It's
shit.
shit.
Yeah, you
Like,
said that bit.
it really annoys
I was
me
here for
whenever I
that.
go to shut up. Whenever I go
How
to
many
like
things do you need to have against calamari? What kind of answer is he looking for? I presume.
I didn't ask
that-
the question. I'm just.
Keep getting to
He
it.
wanna
he
move on.
basically in the Discord he sent an image of some of his food and it was onion rings and I asked if it was onion rings or calamari because
That's right.
we've had this conversation because I've gone through a all you can eat buffet before, picked up what I thought was onion rings and it's been calamari and it's just been my day's ruined, right? So like he said it was onion rings and I was like that's
I don't
all right.
like
So that's
onion rings
why
either.
because that's why he's asked. But they're just so disappointing. No.
I don't.
Fucking
I,
squid as well. I
I've
mean,
got to ask this question because it's a listener that sent it in, Chris. So
Yeah.
I apologise in advance.
No.
Any chance that you will post? Any chance that you will post a retrospective covering the Xenoblade series from Wii to future redeemed DLC? The next few months are quite light with releases, so you do have the time.
Got fuck all to do. So yeah, I'll just play 3 games back to back.
How many guides did you write for Shadow Gambit?
24.
24.
Go and read all of them, everybody.
So
Do it.
I'm gonna guess the answer is no. Stop
No,
asking.
I'd love to write something about it as long as I didn't have to go and play them. But I feel like
Right,
part
I
of that
don't-
is you have to go and play them again and reflect on it, and I ain't doing that. So no,
Will you be playing Armored Core 6 or Starfield next month or both?
both. I can't see where we'll play. I don't play both of them.
No, but
I may run
again,
out of time to play as much as I want to. With both of
can
them,
I
but
just
will play
do
both
a
of them.
Chris Hyde on you here a bit? If you take the question as written, will you be playing them next month?
specifically. If you've only got 1 month to play them, then it's over.
Oh, maybe
no.
Neither.
He doesn't say that. I was just saying.
No, I know, but I'm embellishing because it's more fun.
Fair.
Choose Sophie's choice now. You're going to get one.
No, it definitely has not. Okay, fine. Right, what are your top? I don't know if will you be able to answer this one.
No, fuck off. Have I got a ranking system where I've got 5 favourite? Right, read the question.
What are your top 5 favourite coffees to buy, to grind, or make at home?
Wait, this is Mick again, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
So first off, like I have a coffee machine at home, so I buy the beans, and it's like bean to cup. So that's why he's
in the back of the mansion.
Yeah, back at the mansion when Jeeves gets up early and makes me a coffee.
Give me a fucking coffee, Jeeves.
Yeah. I do have a favourite bean. Like I do, like because he asked the other day, I didn't got any recommendations on a game. So I like this.
Arabica, is that one?
Brown ones. I like the.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, it was a bloody good attempt. I thought.
No, sorry. There was me thinking when you said Arabica, is that the one that you weren't asking if that was correct, and I corrected you, and then you're offended that I've corrected you? Or
you didn't correct me when I said Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah. So yeah, there's this brand called Cafe Direct that do a blend called Machu Picchu, which is really nice. So I have that.
$87.99 a bag.
It's not that expensive. There's the Starbucks blonde roast is nice as well. I sometimes get that, but it's a lot cheaper than Starbucks because I'm making it myself. But it's the same beans that they use.
Don't Google
That's
that.
Nice. Yeah, but I don't have 5. I'm guessing he means that, and not like I like a flat white and a latte and an affogato and various other things.
You can read a review of affogato on godisageek.com.
Indeed.
What's your favourite Bayonetta game, Chris?
I haven't played a lot of them, so 1.
It's fine.
Unless I'm allowed to talk about another one, which is not technically a Bayonetta game, so probably not. So 1.
What? What do you mean?
The one that's not a Bayonetta game, but is.
It's called Bayonetta. You can have it.
Yeah. Well, I still. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Bayonetta 1.
Last
I've heard
question.
Bayonetta 2 is pretty nifty from a reliable source.
They're all good. They're all good. If you could have reviewed any game in the last year that you didn't cover, which one would it be? So presumably one you have played, but
yeah,
or want to play and haven't had time.
No,
perhaps.
I think probably I'd have really liked to have played like Tears of the Kingdom ahead of time, and been like playing that when very few people were, and just discovering that world. Like
it was good, I will admit.
Sometimes you want your opinion on things as well. I think.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I think that's what he's getting at, and that's why that is not the answer I thought you'd give.
So what do you think the question is?
No, Mick's saying he's saying that like sometimes there's certain games where you just like you want your words on that review on the site. And that's
wanted my words on Tears of the Kingdom.
No, that is fair. It's just not the one I thought you'd have gone for. Actually,
what would you?
I thought you'd have gone for Pikmin 4. Because not only would it meant you would have actually played it through to completion, you love the series, and
yeah. I mean, I love Zelda more than I love Pikmin.
No, and of course.
Like, I think, in another year it probably would have been, but Zelda's Zelda, isn't it? But like,
to be honest,
I think
the way
as
you're
well,
talking, I'm surprised you didn't. Like, it almost sounds like you wouldn't have minded having your words on a Shadow Gambit. Like,
no, I'd have loved to have written that review. To be honest with you, if I had to, I'd have fucking written so many words about that. I love that game. I think as well, the reason why I say Tears of the Kingdom is because it felt like, I don't know if this is just in my head, but pre-Tears of the Kingdom, things were slightly quieter. It feels like since Tears of the Kingdom, every game under the sun has been awesome and long and massive, and that's when it started ramping up.
It's odd that you say that because by the time my review had gone live, I think I had an hour count of 80 on the Switch hour counter, and I didn't go, how did I fit that in? It did seem like it came at a really good time, and I did obsess. It was obsessed. Like you know what it was like when you first started playing that game. I couldn't stop. Yeah. But I also didn't feel like my attention was being drawn away anywhere. So
no.
Okay, Tears of the Kingdom it is. Back to you then for the last two questions.
Last couple of quick fire questions. McPoo asks, what musical instrument would you like to get the Guitar Hero treatment?
I'd like to play Triangle Hero.
The kazoo.
Triangle Strategy.
The kazoo hero, I'd like.
The question makes me sad because it doesn't matter. They're never doing it again.
No, I know.
It's dead.
Yeah.
Like Guitar Hero Live was phenomenal. I don't know. Did you play Guitar Hero Live?
I found it hard because it was actually like playing a guitar,
Yes,
which I'd
that's
never
what
done
I mean.
before.
Yeah.
So I found it hard, as it probably should be, because obviously just going down the
Yeah, there's 5 buttons. They're color coded.
Yeah,
Now all
that
of a
was
sudden
it-
you're
that was
playing
different.
shapes and chords. But I think that was. I also
But I
think the
did
live
enjoy-
aspect of it was cool. The FMV
Yes.
stuff. When I first saw that, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be bad."
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it just makes me sad, like knowing that it's just never happening again. You know, there were stories at the time, like because Mad Cats, who are gone now, came back with like all the peripherals and stuff, and they did some really cool stuff. And there was like, I've got the keyboard still somewhere in this room, and they did all that stuff, and it was so cool. But like, there's stories of like GameStop and stuff in America, like turning people away when they were coming in to try and sell their Guitar Hero stuff, because it's like,
them in,
we don't have any more space for it. No one wants it. It's landfill, and that's like, that is such a shame, because they was like, you think back to Guitar Hero 2 and stuff, like.
Yeah, for a while as well, the price on those games plummeted. Like, it was so cheap to buy whole.
Yeah.
Like, because I nearly did, because the kids wanted it at a certain point. Well, I didn't in the end, but I was looking at in places like Toys R Us, and it was like the price of it had just gone. It was almost nothing.
But all of that stuff was like, it then became Toys to Life.
Yeah.
It's sort of these big, like, do you remember Skylanders?
Yeah.
Which was such a flash in the pan. Toys to Life.
Disney Infinity, the Lego Dimension stuff. Like, I don't know. What musical? The question is, what musical instrument?
Saxophone.
Would you like to... Didgeridoo. I'd like a 4-foot peripheral.
Do you know what? I'm going to answer it entirely seriously and say, I don't want anything new. I'd like you to do a DJ Hero 3, because DJ Hero was fantastic, and that, again, just died on its arse. I know it got
I
really liked Fuser, which I know is not the same, but I really liked Fuser. I went back to play it, and
many have tried to make the music genre work again, and they've even, like you say, with Fuse, like, you don't need anything, it's just a controller, you don't need anything more, and it's like, no one's interested. It's like, I don't know what happened there. People love music. I
think as well, it was of its time of the like local co-op lads round or ladies around a console. Like, I had so many like evenings, like just get a few beers and some mates round, and we'd play Guitar Hero World Tour with all the all the drum kit and everything. And it was just an accompaniment to alcohol, essentially. And that was the evening. And I just don't think that, I mean, I'm too old for it now anyway, but I don't think that kind of stuff happens.
Well, that might be some of it. It might be a generational thing too. Like, we were playing that stuff when we were younger. Now we've kind of moved on. Younger people nowadays might not even go for stuff like that.
They're not into that. But it's the same with music. People don't listen to albums anymore.
No,
the
they don't have to
Spotify
anymore,
generation, the Apple Music generation, whatever, Deezer, all them, that nobody's like, oh, I can't wait for so and so's album to drop. Whereas to me, that's the most exciting thing, is you get a single and then you're like, oh god, I can't wait to just sit down and listen to this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Last question, musical themed again. Thoughts on the band Busted from Lyle Squared, motherfuckers.
Which is not Lyle.
Which is not Lyle. No, it's his biggest fan, David Ayres.
Yeah.
They had their moment. They had their
time.
They were middle of the road guitar pop lads. They were never.
I'm not saying they were good. I'm saying
I'd rather listen to Hanson.
Hanson were great, but
Hanson
were
really good now. Like, listen to Hanson do their old stuff now. They're really good.
It was melodic, catchy pop, same as Busted, and well, they had a year 6000 ones or whatever it is.
Year 3000.
Yeah, lived underwater.
And they had because
Busted,
like
garage
rock was big in America because of films like American Pie and things like that. And then all of a sudden they tried to manufacture that here, and it was a bit weird.
It was people trying to make safe Blink 182.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's not for me. I have no issue with it if you like it. It's not for me. They're catchy tunes, but I'm never going to listen to them.
The only situation, well, not the only, but probably if I was at a music festival, and I was a bit drunk, and they happened to be on next.
Who else is on? What are my choices?
Oh, I don't know. No, I'm saying like it's a one-stage festival.
Is it just Busted, or is it like McCunted or whatever they were called when they joined two of them together?
I think it was Muck Busted. I don't think they branded themselves as Muck Cunted.
They should have.
Muck Fly and these cunts.
I think if this is the last question. So listen, let's give it the respect it's due. We've got to a point now where we're at a festival. busted her on. Who are my choices? I need to know.
No. So what I'm saying is my situation with playing out is the Prodigy have just gone off stage.
Gone off stage?
The stage that I'm at, and it's a one-stage thing.
No, I'm sorry. You're saying that the Prodigy...
You know what? Whatever, I'll listen to it. And
the Prodigy have just finished their set.
Yeah.
And I just want to be really clear. The Prodigy have finished their set and busted have now walked out.
Yeah.
They ain't getting a fucking cord off
no,
before the bottles of piss start.
And everything.
It'd have to be a really poor festival where, like, I'm at Reading and it's like it's busted on and there's just nobody else. And I'm still not sure I wouldn't just go back to my tent.
You know what I find interesting though is when those bands like that, or groups, they weren't really a band, where they were. I mean, it was a manufactured thing. But you get them, and they were around 15 years ago or whatever.
They're still around, I think.
Well, they are, but that's my point. Now they're like older and they've grown, and they can actually do their own music. And then you hear them in like a live show, or they're on Radio 1 Live Lounge or something. They're doing whatever they want to do, not something that's been handed down and carefully curated for them. And they tend to be really good. And they tend to be like, because it's a completely different thing. And they're kind of, they've matured and they're able to just sit and just strum on a guitar and sing a song. And you find out that they're actually very talented. And the stuff they were doing before but they lose some of that when it's so manufactured like they were. You don't really care whether they can actually sing or actually play guitar. So who cares if they can even do any of it? Whereas now they're older and they can sit there and play it, and you think, actually, this would have been. I would like to have heard you do this 20 years ago.
I would listen to them do an acoustic set out of sheer boredom.
Yeah,
and that's it. That's as far as I will go. And I'm not making any promises I even do that.
I don't think anyone's going to hold you to it.
No.
They can try.
I think if Busted came to your house and said, "Can we play for free?"
I'd say no, thank you. Next door. Yeah. My dog barks too much. You wouldn't be able to hear you.
I'd bring him in. I'd let him in. Give him a beer. Although my missus used to fancy one of them, so he can stay outside, the bastard.
No, it's pronounced busted.
Aha.
God, I'm playing the jingle. Sorry.
Listen to Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
Thank you very much to all the listeners for the listener correspondence and to Chris for reading it all out. That's a podcast for this week. If you are playing Shadow Gambit and you are finding it a bit difficult, do go to godisageek.com. There are lots of guides written by Christopher Hyde that will help you in all manner of ways. Mention those badges. Go have a look at them. There is, of course, a podcast every week, and you can go to youtube.com/godisageek where you can see it being performed as if it were some sort of show. Yeah, you can go to patreon.com/godisageek to hear it early. Busted Festival. Yeah, this is our version of the year 6000 or whatever it's called. I'm never going to get that right. You can go to patreon.com/godisageek to hear the podcast early and to see the video early and to listen to an exclusive podcast that we are a little bit behind on, in truth, but that's because of sickness. I think I was
laziness.
Poorly. No, it's genuinely just sickness. I think I was ill, and then I think Lyle was ill. And I think that's where we are now. So
I'm sure my arsehole played a role at some point.
Almost certainly your dirty
usually does.
Yeah,
was involved somehow.
Dirt,
do follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it's called now. Cross.
Cross. As if you brought back the X and cross argument for that.
Instagram, TikTok. That's all the stuff.
Makes you cross.
Yep. Thank you very much to Chris and to Mick for being here this week, obviously. And to everybody else, we will speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.